This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 1264 of Horse Tip Daily, your almost everyday morsel of helpful hints, useful facts, and practical techniques for horse folks. Brought to you today by Dr. Rose's Remedies. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is an excerpt from the Dressage radio show here on the Horse Radio Network. Dressage Today contributing editor Hillary Hebert joins the show co-hosts Reese and Phillip, and they're going to talk about scaling the strength of your aids. And we'll get right to our tip after this from Dr. Rose's Remedies.
Dr. Rose's Remedies Skin Treatment Salve and Spray are 100% all-natural products. They are anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. Dr. Rose's are made with all human-grade ingredients and are safe and effective for treatment for all manner of cuts and scrapes on your horse. And Dr. Rose's is the must-have product here at the Horse Radio Network headquarters to keep PT Scooter's delicate white pasterns free from dew poisoning and scratches. Ask for Dr. Rose's at your local tack store or feed supplier, or visit them online at drrosesremedies.com. That's drrosesremedies.com.
Well, this evening, we are so happy to have our favorite segment of the month, Hillary Moore Hebert, from our contributing editor from Dressage Today, is on. Hi, Hillary.
Hi, guys. How are you?
All right, Hillary, what do you got for us this month in the Dressage Today, or from Dressage Today?
So I wanted to talk about the aids, and then I'm going to go back to something I talked about, one or two times ago. But I wanted to talk about the aids because there's some really good articles in the August issue. The first one is from Chris Hickey. He was on the Pan American team for USA and was riding at Hilltop for a while. So I'm sure many of your listeners recognize who he is. He's a professional rider, and he was talking about how the aids, you need to think of them on a scale of 1 to 10. And the ideal goal is to have it be that if you put a soft aid on, your horse goes forward. But say you put your aid on at a level of 3 out of 10 and they don't listen, it's okay to go to 5 or 6 and ask for the response. And I like this a lot because I think from my days back as a jumper rider, or an eventer rather, going over fences, if your horse stops and doesn't go over the fence, you take a crop and you get him one on the shoulder. And I think as dressage riders, we want everything to be about finesse and everything. But if you go to ask for your horse to go from trot to canter and they don't listen, it's the same as them not going over the jump. And so you don't get to the point where you say, okay, I'll give you 55 times around before you go to canter, and maybe I'll, ask you nicely with a little bit of like a voice and a kiss. Go forward and listen so that you don't have to be the nag, and have it be like that transition is going over that jump where you say, now is now, and I'm going to go from a 3 to a 5 or a 6 out of 10 and really expect that you listen to me. So I liked that as a way of thinking because it, I think, says, let's do this now, and it keeps you from being a nag, and your horse also becomes more responsive.
Yeah, no, I think that's just a really cool way of sort of quantifying what the aid should be, because that's a lot of questions people give is like, well, how much aid should I give? And I like to think one to 10, 0, obviously no aid, and then 1 to 10. And I always say to my students, start with a light aid. So I like that. You can say start between 1 and 3, and then if you need to go up, you have somewhere to go up. But I like just having sort of that idea of there's a scale. I like that. I like that a lot. Phil, how about you?
I think, thinking about this I think this is the biggest difference between, or one of the very large differences between the amateur riders and the professional riders. I think when you watch a professional rider or, somebody who's riding who you really expect, they have a very clear idea about what the expectation from the horse is for the aid that is put on. And so, when you ride 5 horses a day, you can't be asking with a 9 all day long, and the horse is not respecting you. I think it's just makes a lot of sense that, when I sit on a horse, I expect a 10 response from a 2 aid all the time, and just really consistently doing that. And I'm sure both of you guys teach a lot of lessons that is centered around that theme, is, ask quietly and expect to get a response. And if you don't get a response, it's fair to ask more strongly. That's it, right? That's the basics of training a horse, right down to, I always talk to my riders about, just in the beginning, all you need is the gas pedal and the brake, and they have to work very, very well.
Well, there you have it. You can find links to today's guests as well as more tips at horsetipdaily.com. This podcast was made possible through the generous support of Dr. Rose's Remedies and listeners like you. Learn how you can help support Horse Radio Network programming and qualify for auditors-only perks by going to horsetipdaily.com and clicking on the Become an Auditor banner on the homepage. This is Coach Jen, and I'll be back again soon with another tip. So until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements made by guests on the Horse Tip Daily. Please use your own judgment when listening to the tips on this show.